This is just a little picture of what you would be doing here. And you'll notice that in every single picture, there's more than one person. And that's because in film, you're constantly working with other people. And it's very rewarding in that way. It's social. You're going to be connected to your friends. You're going to learn a lot about yourself and other people. And we really want to emphasize that for you. Now, I want to tell you about the kind of jobs that you may get. Okay, we offer these concentrations. However, that's kind of an old-fashioned way of looking at film. And we have changed our curriculum, which I'll explain to you in a second, so that we are, preparing you for all the kinds of film careers and on-screen careers that there are. If you look at the credits in any film, television, you're going to see probably hundreds of names and hundreds of jobs and different things that people do. Okay. It's not moving. Here we go. Okay. And this is our end of the year show. Actually, every single year, the best work of each year, which is voted on by the students, premieres in the theater across the hall. So you're going to see your work way big. And all the thesis films premiere in there. And here's people with some of their jobs over here. Some of the roles that they played, in their thesis films. Okay, now then, let me tell you about, missing something here. Anyway, let me tell you about our curriculum because it's very different. We have created a curriculum that has 18 fewer credits, required credits in your concentration than any other department. And there's a reason for that. We find that the people with a broad-based range of skills in filmmaking get jobs faster and go farther. So we have created the ability for you to study in your concentration, but you're allowed to choose 6 electives. Everybody else in the school gets about 1. So, and we offer over 20 electives. And these are some of the things that we offer. And do another thing. Oh, something is missing here. They have the wrong, anyway. I was going to show you some makeup from the horror class, the makeup class, but they don't have the right thing. Okay. Anyway, so now we're going to talk about faculty. Our faculty, as you heard in the other room, are all working in their field. This is Robert Coloni. He's an alum here, but he also teaches, and his first feature premiered at the Venice Film Festival and took an award. And on the extreme right there is his producer, Bennett Elliott, who also went here. So there's many opportunities that you'll have to interact with professionals who are really doing what you might want to do. Okay, this is Dan Georgievich, and if I could point out to you, it's a little hard to see, but these are all members of the American Society of Cinematographers. That is a small society that is invitation only, and the very best cinematographers in the world are invited to it if they work in America. We have an unbelievable cinematography program which feeds into the best graduate schools. And I'll tell you, when I'm walking around here, even when I'm walking in Brooklyn where I live, I'm constantly seeing people working on film sets and seeing our students, our graduates, and saying, oh, what is this? What did you do? So it's interesting because you are not going to just hang around. You're being mentored by the very, very top people in the field. Go ahead here. All right, these are some of our specialties, which are editing, producing, shooting, cinematography. We have a theater that we show your work, but we also study film in. And what I wanted to tell you about this is, yet again, you're going to premiere in this theater at the end of the year. And you'll have a chance every single year to show your work if that's what your goal is. It means meeting deadlines, it means, having high standards for your craft, and the work you put in will definitely be appreciated by your peers and by the whole community of film. Okay, where am I now? Oh, yes, okay. One of the best things we do is sponsor the New York Film Festival, which is one of the major international film festivals. And this year, the After the Hunt with, is that with Julia Roberts, I think? Guandano. Okay. And students go, we have tickets for you. You're going to interact, not only go to the films and meet the filmmakers, but interact with many other people in the business. Oh, we're missing a slide. Okay. Nick Hui, this is some of our guests. Nick is an editor. He edited Barbie and Lady Bird and Little Women. And we are constantly inviting people to come here and talk to our students. So, and they do. And you get to ask them plenty of questions and take their cards, and they're going to be there for you. Okay? They want you to come into the field. That's why they come and talk to us. Oops. I'm missing one here. Missed one. Let me go back. All right. Well, this is Zach Krager, whose film just opened this fall at Weapons. It's been very well reviewed, and he has spoken with our students, a month ago, not even, and talks about his journey, talks about what kind of a student he was, how it worked out for him. And we're very attached to our alumni. And that's why you're going to meet some. And that's why they're going to tell you that they keep reaching out. Other alumni have reached out to them, and they're going to reach out for you. Let me keep going here. So, where are we here? Oh, that's Nick. I don't want to go backwards. Okay. So now I'm going to introduce you to what's happening here? Our alumni panel. Okay. This is Julia Ward. Let me just take this out. She's an accomplished associate finishing producer known for her precision and artistry in guiding high-profile films and television projects through the final stages of post-production. Her credits include acclaimed works such as Severance, Barbie, and Killers of the Flower Moon, which she worked quite closely with Martin Scorsese, reflecting her strong reputation for ensuring creative integrity and technical excellence. Okay, we're going to go a new one. Let's see, it's not in order. Come on, go ahead. Rianne Pyle. Rianne is a New York-based filmmaker, director and producer whose work spans documentary, narrative, and music video. She has collaborated with Emmy-winning she has directed short documentaries including Freedom Day and Vic Barrett Youth Voice. Rianne co-produces under Glen Productions and continues to do work that focuses on socio-political stories and underrepresented voices. She also has experience in music videos, including assisting in directing. Okay. This is Maura Garnett. You didn't know you could become a casting director. You'll find your journey here, as Maura did, and she started very early to specialize in this, to reach out to people in her field, and is now quite happily casting away. She's a versatile New York-based filmmaker and casting professional whose work spans directing, producing, and casting for film and television. She has collaborated with Emmy-winning casting directors Avi Kaufman and Mark Sachs, contributing to projects like Dexter: Resurrection, The Terror, where she helped cast renowned actors including Peter Dinklage, Uma Thurman, and Neil Patrick Harris. And now we go one more. Okay. Simon Hacker is a New York-based filmmaker, writer, director, producer, and editor, and new father. Um, Known for his sharp, character-driven storytelling and hands-on approach for production. Early in his career, he worked with the Safdie brothers, creating behind-the-scenes content for Heaven Knows What while they were in post-production. His debut feature, Noticed to Quit, produced under his company, Whiskey Creek, co-founded with NBA star Gordon Hayward, marks a bold entry into independent cinema and reflects his distinctive blend of grit, empathy, and realism. Um, and I can just tell you, even though my voice is, I'm not a good actress, but this is not bullshit. These people really, really do what they wanted to do and much more than that. So come on up, guys. And this little discussion will be moderated by our Director of Operations, Camille Dobrowski, who's also an editor and post-production specialist and a filmmaker, documentarian.
Thank you, Mary Lee.
There we go. So just so you can remember everybody's names.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our BFA Film Open House. We do have mics on both sides here, so if there are any questions you guys have as we go through this Q&A, feel free to come up and ask a question. We're happy to answer anything you guys want to know about the department, about the school. But first, I want to start with this panel. Thank you guys for being here. When you think back at your time at SVA, what's one memory that instantly comes to mind? I'll let anyone start.
You guys are looking at me. Oh my goodness. There are so many sets that I were on that I really have such amazing, crazy, fun stories. Some of my favorite were sets where we got to travel and lodge and all live in an Airbnb for a weekend and shoot things. And I'd say the community and going away on those shoots and really having fun with your friends was really memorable for me.
Yeah, I loved the late nights at SVA prepping for shoots on and for school projects and away. I started making music videos while I was here with one of my best friends, Kevin, and he actually still makes music videos to this day and has worked with big brands like Ralph Lauren and edits for them and helps direct their commercials and stuff like that. And we would spend all of our late nights prepping for music videos after class until like 2 a.m., going to the diner across the street, coming back and doing more prep to go shoot in 2 days. And those are some of the nights that you don't really forget and give you a lot of resilience in the industry, because right now I'm a production manager and associate producer at Our Time Projects. And there are a lot of late nights. There are a lot of 14-hour, 12-hour days when we're in production. But I think the most gratifying part is seeing everyone love our work and really being able to touch people with the art that we get to make.
You know, I can't remember the name of the coffee shop. You guys still have the kind of cafeteria?
Moe's.
Moe's.
Yes.
Actually, I think
Still there.
It's still there. I think in between classes with my friends from class, basically sitting there and kind of talking through what we had just learned, felt like that really kind of fostered a lot of the connection. Just a lot of great memories in between.
Good.
My favorite memory was probably doing thesis film with you. Camille, actually, before he was director of operations, was an editing professor, and we actually met, I think it was open house.
Probably.
I met Camille, and he asked me what I wanted to do, and at the time I wanted to do editing. I told him I had this idea for a film that I really wanted to make, and he showed me all the editing labs, and he's like, if you come here, we'll make that film together. And we did, and senior year, I think I only had like thesis class. I had finished all my other credits. And every day I was with Camille, suffering through a lot of edits and stuff, but we made that film. I'm so proud of it, and I think a lot of those late nights in the lab together and me losing my mind and Camille keeping me sane is probably one of my favorite memories, especially because it was so full circle, because I met him on open house, came to SVA, and we made it together, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without him, so it's probably my favorite memory.
And it's one of mine as well. I mean, I think Julia worked on that film. She shot in the summer and was cutting 6 months of post-production for a documentary. So the time that was put in was really rewarding to see the change in her movie and the growth of revisions going through it. Okay, great. Any questions yet? Everyone's shy right now, but feel free to warm up if you want to. Here's another question for you guys. How did SVA prepare you for working in the industry? What happened here? You guys are all successful working. What did SVA do for you guys to get you started?
Yeah, I'll start again. One of the most helpful classes I took was career strategies, where each week they were bringing in different people working in the industry and doing a personal like Q&A with you and your classmates. And the professor, Carrie Fulton, would be like, "What do you guys want to see? Who do you want to meet?" And I remember I was just like casting, like bring someone in, and she brought in A.V. Kaufman, and like that day I left with an internship immediately. And I feel like just going from internship to internship through these connections helped me land where I am today.
I think for me it was a twofold thing of I went into film school not knowing what I wanted to do. I actually wanted to be a medical examiner before going to film school. And then I went to the SVA pre-college program the summer of my senior year, and I had the teacher that I still am friends with to this day. She was Joe Brooker, who was our screenwriting teacher. And after the first class, I texted my mom and I was like, "Mom, I love this. I could do this for the rest of my life." And that summer, I completely changed course. I went to applying for film schools. And at SVA, being able to dive in first year hands-on into all these different roles and helping out friends with sound or lights or camera, you really get to figure out what you're good at and what you might want to go into. And you have so many resources and so many encouraging teachers. Joan really helped me dive in and discover that I really had a love for documentary filmmaking. And because of that, I ended up making my own documentaries, and the work that I do now is all centered on docs. And I don't think that I would have had that opportunity to do what I'm doing now without having a mentor like Joan help guide me through that. And also, the job that I have now all comes from a friend of mine that I met in class that turned into an internship one summer when I was 19. And then they called me back to work on this film called American Symphony about John Batiste and his wife Suleika. And after they hired me full-time as a production coordinator, I was credited as an associate producer on the project. And we won a Grammy back in February for Best Music Film, and we also won a Producers Guild of America award, and we're shortlisted for the Oscars. So through all of that, it's come full circle with everything that SVA has taught me of being adaptable and being open-minded. And I think without SVA, I wouldn't be where I am today.
It's a great answer. Yeah, I mean, I think it's the collection of experiences you get across all the kind of classes and disciplines that's offered here. I think back, and I'm the furthest back, it's been 10 years since I graduated, so the program's changed quite a bit. I'm actually envious that some of these new, they didn't have some of these specialties back then, but it's great. But I think what SVA gives you in terms of preparing you is also its proximity to the industry and being in New York. I mean, there's obviously tons of film schools across the country, but being here, you can go to class and then you can go to your internship 10 blocks away. I think that's a huge kind of boon to what is offered here because you're so close to it. I mean, you'll walk to class and pass professional film sets, and I think there's a real value there for sure. I think that really helps propel you.
I think SVA, the biggest lesson I took away from it that really helped me in my industry now was teaching me discipline and deadlines. Thesis year, you have strict deadlines on when your cut needs to be done, when it needs to be colored, all this stuff, and you're held accountable because then you won't graduate if your film's not done. A lot of classes are like that. And as annoying as that seems to a lot of kids, like, oh, whatever, like, I just need one more week, really teaches you because in the industry, those deadlines are set by studios, and you have to have films done, locked, delivered. You don't really get second chances and stuff. So SVA did a really good job of teaching you the pressure of that and what the industry is really like. Like, if your film, I graduated during 2020, so it was like, terrible and a little bit different, but our deadlines were a little bit different. But originally it was like, if you don't submit it, you're not going to graduate. And I think having those standards and stuff really helped me in the industry because I was like, okay, my school held me to this standard. That's what the industry is going to do as well. So it kind of made you mature as a student and taught you the kind of filmmaker and stuff that you need to be for the industry in order to succeed.
First week or second week of freshman year, and it's a very
and there's are deadlines right away. So talking about deadlines in the first day of school, you get a camera. Week 4, the first project is due. So you learn deadlines immediately, and you do another one week 9 and week 15 of the first semester. So it keeps you disciplined, as Julia said. It's really important to establish not only doing great work, but getting it done on time. Because in the real world, there are real deadlines, and you have to hit them, and you can't just, oh, well, could make it, sorry. It's like that's your job is on the line here. You have a question?
Great. So I love that you all went through the same program and had such different experiences and such diverse professions that you wound up in. In addition to deadlines, I'm curious how you found the transition from working as a student to client interaction, interpreting feedback, and whether or not you feel the program prepared you to take in that kind of feedback and client interactions and collaboration.
Definitely. When I think it was my first week of freshman year, I turned to Camille and I was like, I want an internship. What do I have to do to get an internship? And Camille helped me build my resume, and I started applying to internships, and I ended up getting one at this place called 1619, which is a post house. And I got in at 1619, and I was able to interact with clients. I learned all about deadlines, and I got to see a bunch of different roles. Like now they, explain them, but back then I was just new of editing, and that was my concept of post-production. Then I got into a post house, and I was seeing like a sound editor or an associate finishing producer. I didn't even know what finishing was at the time. So I was able to learn how to interact with clients and everything through the internships that I was able to get with the help of Camille, with the help of professors. And those internships led me to build relationships with clients, which then I had a bunch of different internships at the time, which eventually led to where I am now at Company 3. And like I said, in classes and stuff, like they treat it like real sets, and in the post labs and stuff, they treat it like you have deadlines and stuff, and that really helped prepare me for when I was in a room with huge directors. I mean, I worked with Martin Scorsese, as they mentioned, on Killers of the Flower Moon, and if you can imagine, that's the most stressful environment you could probably be in. But I knew that these people are just like us. They're really passionate about their films, and I actually had flashbacks of like me working on my thesis film, and I was like, this is like his baby, and I have to be the most professional, and I have to be on my game because this project is also in a way mine because I'm the associate producer on it. So I felt prepared for that because I was under the stress of deadlines. It was just a different version of stress, right? That like when you're in school, it seems like, oh, this is just homework and whatever, it's not stressful, or this is just a thesis film, but it's really preparing you for when you're in a room with Martin Scorsese, let's say, and there's a deadline, like the film's due next week and you're putting in 116 hours. It's like, oh, I did that. I did that during my thesis with Camille. So I felt like all of those internships and everything I had, and just even having, like, we would have guest speakers, like they mentioned, come to class. You go up, you introduce yourself, you give your contact information, and just even those experiences. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten that if I hadn't gone to SVA. I wouldn't have gotten the confidence from Camille or my professors to be like, no, you can introduce yourself, and they will reach out to you. So I felt really prepared once I went and transitioned from school into the industry, because I had been doing those things, like those internships during school. That's one thing about when you're looking at schools, because I know you guys are at open house and you're probably deciding between a bunch of schools and it's overwhelming. Like obviously we were all in your same shoes. But one thing that kind of stood out for me about SVA was the size classes are smaller, so you're really getting that intimate connection. Like I still talk with Camille probably like every week, and it's been years since I graduated, but those connections, like, they stick with you. And I saw that immediately from open house and on the tours and everything. But also, the school is in the middle of the city, which is like the best thing to make you transition into being an adult. I come from a small town in Jersey, and I had friends who went to Syracuse or other schools, and they were too far away from internships. Like here, you can go down the street and get an internship at one of the biggest post houses in the world with the biggest clients, which is hard to say for other schools. So I think I saw a lot of opportunity to grow here, to become an adult, because I had to leave my small town and go in the city. And there's that like expression, that everyone's heard, where it's like, if you make it here, you can make it anywhere. And I feel like being in school in the city, doing internships, there really wasn't even a transition, it didn't feel like, because I was like already working and doing school. So I felt fully prepared by the time, and especially for our year, like 2020, like the world was like ending. So, but I still felt kind of secure because I had built a resume up with internships. I had a list of clients that I had befriended from those internships or from the guest speakers. So I used all of that during COVID networking, reaching out, hey, how are you? Do you need any help virtually? And I was able, once, restrictions listed, to go right back into it. And I wouldn't 100% have been able to do that. And I don't know if I can say the same for other friends in the industry, unfortunately, who, didn't make those connections, which I think SVA is definitely responsible for helping me out with. So I give them full credit for that.
Anybody else want to jump in?
I mean, I think you touched on it. The professors here are all professionals, and so I think you have the advantage of working intimately with them. I mean, the classes aren't large, which is a benefit to the students. You get a lot of one-on-one time. I mean, hearing your relationship with Camille, I had that. I mean, I still keep in touch with professors who were here 15 years ago, I guess now, but they've moved on. But that's a huge advantage, is working under or learning from people who are actively working in the industry. And I mean, I think the professors here are excellent. So that's my thing.
For me, it was the collaborative nature. I think that you guys said it really well, that like the class size is really beneficial, and that every time you're workshopping your work, you're bringing in your projects, you're getting used to the fact that film is a collaborative effort. People are going to critique your work. Not everyone's going to love what you do on the first pass. And that can be really hard to accept, that like you spent 10 hours or 15 hours or 16 hours pouring your heart and soul into this, and to have someone not like some of it or all of it or a good chunk of it have to go back to the drawing board is something that's really difficult to work through. And I think that at SVA, when you're spending these 4 years working with each other, you're having your professors, your fellow peers like critique and give you notes on your work, it really welcomes you into the real world, where as I was in school, I was working on music videos with my friends, and we had clients that may not have liked our pitch decks. We had to restart and have them turned in 3 or 4 hours, may not have wanted to change things on set because they didn't like this, and we had to be adaptable. And so though the scenarios in class helped prep us for real world scenarios where we're keeping our professionalism and knowing that critiques and feedback that may be critical of your work is totally acceptable, and that's just how the industry is, and it's totally okay, because at the end of the day you want to make the best art, you want to make the best work. And so learning how to ingest the feedback, adapt, and grow and learn, I think is, as an artist, is what you'll be doing for the rest of your life, and it starts here. And I thank SVA for helping to foster that kind of intimate environment to be able to take that out into the real world.
Yeah, they all had great answers. But no, I agree, between the professors and your classmates, and I feel like they do prepare you and teach you how to give feedback well, which is also really important. And like, I have a friend who just did a pilot, and she was like, can you come by on Monday? We're doing a preview and give feedback. Like, those connections still stay is the point. And as well, like, you're open to feedback and you're able to take it in and grow from it. I think that's really important.
Great. Any other questions from the crowd right now? Okay. Yep, question right there. Great.
Yes, I can project.
Would you like, yeah. So we're doing a live stream too, so make sure.
Thank you.
Good.
Yes, if you go back to when you were 18, that week. When you moved into the school, what is one thing that you would do differently? And what is one thing that you think helped you for the rest of your journey in SVA? And I'm interested to know whether you lived on campus or you didn't, just to see, just that 18-year-old you. Thank you.
So I was a transfer, actually. So I came a little later. I didn't have the opportunity to live on campus. But I think I would have. I actually wish I had, because a lot of the kids had kind of already started to get to know each other from the dorm and kind of living together, and I had to work my way into that crowd, and I wish I kind of had lived on campus at the time. I was a year kind of late joining everybody, so it would have been helpful to have been in that environment, because I think they bond for sure in the dorm rooms if you guys dormed.
Yeah, I mean, I went to college 2020, so my first year was remote. So it was moving here my sophomore year, not knowing anybody except for people on Zoom. And I dormed in the Gramercy dorm, which was an all-female dorm at the time because I couldn't do 23rd Street, which is for freshmen, which I would recommend to everyone living with your classmates and being right next door. Like, it's literally right next to where you're shooting everything, where you're getting the equipment, and it is extremely helpful to live on campus for moving equipment and holding it at your dorm when you need to. That's why I recommend 23rd Street, 24th Street, Gramercy. What I would change is I would take more advantage of going to, like, the RA events that they had, especially in the beginning. But I got a job on campus pretty early on when I moved there, and that helped me meet people, make friends, as well as going to clubs. The job that I was doing was being in charge of clubs for the student government. I was working with them, and it showed me what the community is outside of just film and different majors mixing. And some of my best friends are not film majors, and they're graphic designers and artists. So I'd say branching out outside your major to meet friends is important.
I actually only live like 15 minutes away from campus. I was born and raised in the East Village, so it was super convenient for me to go to SVA. I don't think that I would change anything about my experience. I don't think that I'd be where I am or who I am today changing anything. But if I did have to offer any advice, is to be so advantageous and hungry here. I like to say that this is like a microscopic experiment of what the real world is like. You are never going to be in another room again where there's a group of people that want to create art, that are at the same level as you in terms of your creative prowess and desire to network and learn together as when you're here. And being here and being able to talk to everyone outside my major, inside my major. I was also an honor student, so I got to meet other kids from other majors as well in that kind of capacity. People used to call me the mayor of SVA because no one could not walk around with me at SVA and I didn't know someone to say hi to. And I think that that really helps and helps build your network. And your network in this industry is everything. That will help you get your job. It got me my job that I'm still at to this day through an internship. I graduated a year after, in 2021, so it was still like the world was reopening. But one of my best friends had gotten a job as a production manager for a commercial company, and she hired me as a PA for 6 months until I got my full-time job. And that helped hold me over as I was working on commercial sets for like wet beauty products and like nail products and stuff like that. And that was a really great commercial experience. And I got to even work on an Allstate State Farm commercial because a girl remembered me from my work ethic as a PA on a set. And so she brought me on as a PA for that when I was a sophomore in college. So I think it's really important to be active while you're here and just network and talk to everyone. You never know what doors are going to open. You never know what you or anyone else is going to do once you leave here, and that can provide you opportunities to give you longevity in this industry.
I lived on campus, which I think was really important for me to do because I think I mentioned before, I come from like a really small town. I went to the same preschool through high school with the same 100 kids. Like, I had no idea how to make a friend at like 17 years old. So living on campus was really important for me. They have orientation week before your classes start, and same thing, like that week, I think I was the most social I've ever been in my life because I was like, I need to make friends, and I haven't done this in like 10 years. So that was really helpful for me. Also living in the city too, I think I mentioned it helped me grow up a lot. Like, you're not, walking around like a campus. You're like straight up in the middle of, reality and real world. So learning the trains and learning how to get to class across campus, that really helped me because, I still live here in the city and I commute to work every day. So I felt like there was some of my friends who went in to non-art schools or whatever, they had a harder time, I think, transitioning into like post grad life because they were on like a sheltered little campus, and then they were like, I have to go into the city and I have to do like a job interview and blah blah. Whereas like I felt like being in the city, I was like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna go down the street and interview here, and it wasn't as intimidating because we had been in the city for 4 years for school already. So that helped me as like an anxious person transitioning from college to real world. If I had to change anything, this is such a cliche answer, but I would say I would tell my younger self to enjoy it more and live in the moment more. I think I put so much stress, especially my senior year, because it was COVID. And I look back on that time and I'm like, I should have just chilled. Like the whole world was closed, but I was so paranoid. I'm like, I got to get a job. I have to like, even though there was, nothing going on at that time. But I think, I worked extremely, extremely hard, like everyone up here in school, which is great. I would never change that. I would recommend that you guys do the same because it does pay off. But I would also say have fun and enjoy it. I think I put so much stress on myself, maybe a little bit too much. So looking back, I'm like, oh my God, I thought that was stressful, and it like was nothing. So I think my advice to my younger self would be enjoy it. The 4 years does fly by. I mean, even like looking back, being like, oh my God, like it's been like 5+ years since I've been out of school. I still feel like I'm like 18. So I look back and I have very fond memories of my time at SVA, and like my like roommates and I going to see the Christmas tree. Like you can only like do that here in New York City, So I look back and I wish I was less hard on myself. Definitely still work hard, but also enjoy it because it will pay off in the end. And that's probably what I would tell myself.
Great. Thank you.
Last questions before we have to head out for lunch. So any last questions, thoughts?
Yeah, we'll go there.
More questions?
Yeah, more questions.
Do you remember what you submitted in your portfolio? Like in general, like what you film was
For the thesis?
for the program to get into the program.
Oh, I wrote, yeah.
I think it
I wrote a short story. That might have been different. This was in 2011, 2012. Yeah, I wrote a piece of writing. I don't know if that dramatic writing. There wasn't, yeah.
I put together a reel of any footage I had, of any videos I shot, whether I was like sort of taking film classes in high school, some of that, or if I did something with my friends, I put all of that together. I think I set it to like dramatic music and submitted it, and it was about 5 minutes, just sort of showcasing my skills and whatever I could, I think they acknowledge that everyone's coming with different experience and just trying to show my work the best I could.
For me, since I had gone to the pre-college program the summer of my senior year, I just submitted the film that we all worked on as a group to the program, and that was it.
I made a like temp version of the documentary that I wanted to make when I was like a senior year. So I kind of was like, oh, if I make this and show them like this is what I want to make with them, we can make it but better. It's probably burned somewhere because it is so bad, but it got me in and it worked. And then I actually made the one that I'm very proud of with Camille. So
I would say that if you don't have a film in your portfolio, or if you have been doing other work, we, for instance, have transfers from fine arts, show the work that you're making and write about what it means to you and why you're going to go into film and how that will translate for you. So there is a question to write about in the SVA film application, but I think the most important thing is to say what it is that you care about and why you want to do this and how you would do this.
There was another person who had a question.
Yeah, hi. So now, like, you guys are in the more professional field of film, and looking back at like current students, like you graduated in 2020, with the surge and rapid progression of AI, artificial intelligence, would you say that current students should be afraid of that progression?
I love this question.
And how AI can like affect the film industry and media in general?
What do you want to do?
I want to be a screenwriter because I think scripts are a prime D prime aspect of most films, because without a script, actors don't know what to do. You can have the best acting skills in the world, but if you don't know what to say, unless you're doing improv, like, you know.
So you actually have a superpower that AI doesn't. You have a brain that is extremely creative and that can come up with stuff. I look at AI in my industry, it's always a conversation, it's always a topic, and there's a lot of fear with it, which is, I feel like, maybe where you're coming from with your question, right? Like, oh, is it going to take our jobs? Is it going to do this? Which, you know, I can understand. I've asked myself the same thing. But the more you learn about it and the more you work with it, you realize it's a program and it's a robot and it's a tool that can help you maybe make art a little bit better. But really the main purpose of it is to make lives easier, right? So, like, if we're doing dailies, like, instead of spending 10 hours and, like, downloading the footage, oh, have that do it. Write a script, have it do it. But the one thing that it can't do is replace creativity. Like, yes, you can tell it, oh, can you write an essay for me that'll say X, Y, and Z and give it bullet points, right? But it doesn't have the human side to it, right? We have emotions and we have hearts and we have feelings, right? This thing is just a program, right? And yeah, maybe they can program it with feelings and stuff, but I look at it as a tool to help us, but it'll never replace creatives because, like I said, you know, can you tell it to write a script? Sure, but is it going to have that emotion, or is it going to be relatable? Because this, you know, program writing it is not writing it from an emotional place. It's writing it from a bullet point, or like, oh, humans like sad things. I'm going to write this like script really sad, but it's not, you know, going to be as emotional as if, you know, someone like Oscar nominated had written it. Like, we're getting into an era where we have tools, which is amazing, that can help us become better creatives, but I don't think it's going to replace us. And that's a conversation constantly in my field as well, because, you know, people are always, you know, visual effects, right? Look at any Avengers movie. I'm a huge Avengers Marvel fan, so I'm not hating on them, but there gets to a point where I think audiences get tired of how much visual effects are in movies, right? Because we're constantly craving that human interaction and going back to like practical effects. Like, it gets to a point where it's like everything's AI, everything looks fake, and it's noticeably fake and it's not real. I think as creatives, we're trying to connect with other people genuinely and humanely, and that's one disadvantage for AI that it cannot do. Like, it can't replace us in that sense. It can't replace humanity. So it can do a lot of things, but that's one thing that I think protects our job. Like, people are so creative and come up with things that I think sometimes only humans can come up with, from experiences, from memories, and that cannot be replaced, or, you know, can't be replaced or recreated by a robot that has none of that human experience.
I would say one thing, because we play with this all the time in the department. Think about it. AI can only do what's been done before. And as far as script writing goes, that's, you know, if you want to write the next, you know, something part 4, it might help you. But if that's not what you want to do, and even if you did want to do, you know, some Marvel thing part 27, not that I don't love them, but you still are looking for those eccentric, interesting, funny things that AI will never come up with. AI does not have a sense of humor. I mean, we've tried writing scripts in the department with it. It just is, it's not something that writers are going to get much out of, really.
Simon, you want to chime in? You were eager to say something
No, I
about
was
AI.
I mean, I was thinking about it. I wouldn't think about it. I think that the only thing you should do is read as much as you can and write as much as you can while you're in school, because if it's coming, it's coming, and it'll be beyond everything. I just, you know, I would say that you get to go to school here and you have the opportunity to shoot and make films with all these kids, and the gear's free, and you're going to have books in a library and DVDs. I mean, your only job for 4 years is to watch movies and to make movies. It's an incredible kind of gift, and you'll learn how to do it. And, you know, I'm sure AI will progress, and it'll be a tool, and it is a tool. But, I mean, you're much younger than me, and you're probably much more adept with technology than even I am, so I'm sure you'll, you know, figure out how to infuse it. But I wouldn't be afraid of it or just keep going and figure out how to do your thing.
Yeah, I think if you think about like history, like if you said like 80 years ago we'd have color TVs or like things, people would look at you like you were crazy. So I think, you know, every couple of years it's something new, and like you mentioned, like we just learn to adapt and we learn with it. In film specifically, or any creative role, I think it's part of your responsibility to learn the new technology and keep up with it, like you mentioned, and maybe look at it as a tool and not, you know, or even as a challenge, right? Like, how can I outsmart AI and write something way better that this thing couldn't even come up with because it doesn't have that human side to it? So I think that's something we constantly face in our industry, is keeping up with new technology and learning to live with it, learning how to use it to our advantage. But I think that it's just something that will continue to advance, but it won't replace us.
Well, when you have artists bring something of themselves into the art. There's something personal about what you're sharing, and we can sense something as personal in a song, in a script, in a movie. When AI doesn't give you that, it's empty. It doesn't have that feeling, that hollow, artificial feeling. And we're very good at detecting this. We see this when you see the Uncanny Valley. You're seeing, deep fakes for actors, deep mean de-age. We can say this looks not real. This doesn't look authentic, and we can kind of sense it. You can listen to an AI song, but something about seeing an artist perform music live, and that's their music that they wrote, and they're performing with their hearts. You can feel that. I mean, when something is not real, we can kind of sense this is just, maybe AI slop, or this is just AI, things pushed out here that's just not really genuine. And I think as a society, we're going to reject this notion. As a tool, as machine learning can you take this hour-long documentary and transcribe it for me, or translate it for me in 10 seconds? That's useful. There's elements of, just doing mundane tasks that can be done with machines, but creativity or the final output of something, I think that's not where it's going. But I'll say one more thing also about this, because again, AI is the big topic now. As Julie said, new technology comes along, but just look at some of these alums, what they graduated from. Like, Julia and Rianne dealing with COVID, like literally they're leaving school, like her film finished, picture locked in like March 9th, I believe, and like we shut down like March. Yeah. I'm like, Julia, like black picture because school's shutting down 3 days from now. It's going to be like close up shop. And she got her film finished here. But Rianne dealt with thesis during COVID. Morris started college during the uncertainty of the world. This pandemic is happening. Oh, now it's time to go to college. So during that open house, like, what's the future going to hold in 2025 when I leave here, 2024? The uncertainty here. So there's always uncertainty in the world. I graduated with the Great Recession, in the late 2000s. So that was uncertainty. I think what you're seeing from everybody here is there's ambition and hard work, and they collaborate with with their students, with their teachers. They learn these skills to go out in the real world and get jobs, even when times are uncertain, even when things are difficult in the world. They manage to succeed, and I think in some ways because they were trained with this, it's almost like they're already prepared. Almost like they can leave the nest and fly, and they can succeed.
There was a question? One quick question?
Sure.
How are you handling AI with actors?
My goodness. I don't think AI actors are taking over. I know there's that one going around, but everyone I've talked to is like, we're not casting somebody. And I think being in the room with actors is so important, and giving direction needs to be done person to person. We're not typing it in and having somebody generate that. I don't think it's going anywhere, and I honestly think it's just a topic that people like to talk about and just wanted to get this trending. I don't think it should be taking anybody's job.
You'll never have a Robin Williams that was generated on
Never.
AI.
Never.
There's also probably going to be laws and regulations you're seeing as it's getting more advanced. I think, I don't know if you guys saw during the strikes, but that was part of the reason it took so long, was because negotiations of like, you can't use my voice without my authorization, you can't use my face, because there was de-aging and stuff where they're spending millions of dollars, and they're like, well, what if we just take their face and slap it on, and like from when they were younger? But it's like, you can't do that. Now actors are getting rights to like their faces, which is hilarious, but their faces, their voices, that's all getting protected. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, because you get into this dangerous kind of world where it's like what's real and what's not. So just like, you know, with everything that new comes along, I think there's going to be some laws with that.
And I believe SAG and like the Directors Guild and all of them spoke out about like not wanting to use AI actors. And I think we're a community and we're united on not letting it take jobs. And I think that's what's important to know.
Good. Any last questions?
Any last questions or? Yeah. Okay. So we'll thank you, everyone. We'll just start departing. We'll be leaving through groups, so I'll be announcing group numbers, and then you.